right, everybody. Good morning. I am Emil Abedin with Counsel CPAs. Today we are here with Jimmy Lai, an attorney based out of Oklahoma, who, in my opinion, has accomplished significant amount of success here just by, I think, 3 years of operation, right, Jimmy? Is that right?
Right, yeah, just the last 3 years we've been very fortunate.
Amazing. So Jimmy, I'm going to hand it over to Jimmy to make a quick introduction of himself. But he's an attorney based out of Oklahoma, and they're practicing mainly business immigration law. If I got it right, hand it over to you, Jimmy. Just quick, what's the backstory? A little bit about you and your practice.
Yeah, thanks, Emil. Thanks for having me here today. So quick background, I am attorney Jimmy Lai. I personally do business immigration and we service nationwide and globally on all U.S. immigration law matters. The other parts of my firm, which I founded, we deal with family law, criminal defense, estate planning, and personal injury, here only in Oklahoma, and we're based in Oklahoma City. My personal journey was that I've been an international student all my life from 2012 until I graduated, and I struggled finding opportunities for myself because every time I answer that question, will I now or in the future require a work visa, I pretty much automatically get a denial email within the first 5 minutes. So that has been my journey, and fortunately, being from Taiwan, I was able to utilize what's called the E2 visa for me to start my own law firm. And very fortunate to have a law school classmate that believed in me and said, yeah, let's start law firm together. And so we started that in October 2022. And then since then, we've grown pretty rapidly. Our first year of business, we did about, low six figures. It was around 150,000 on our first year. The second year of our business, we started to scale and we ended the year at about 1.1 in the second year of our business. And last year, 2025, we're still, kind of finish up the accounting, but we should be at around two-ish for 2025. So, we had an exponential growth, and with personnel wise, we're at about 20 team members locally in the U.S. plus some virtual staff.
Amazing, Jimmy. I appreciate it. Thank you for the introduction there. What's the firm's name? Is Lai and Turner
Yes, Lion Turner Law Firm.
Law
Yes.
Firm? So you have another partner with you,
Yeah,
Jimmy?
yes, his name is Braden Turner, and we were law school classmates. And funny story about how we started a law firm is he was in a different state, and he wanted to come back to Oklahoma. And that time, I just texted him, "Hey, you want to start a law firm together?" And he said, "Okay." So that's how we started the law firm, is just by texting each other. Let's start a law firm.
Just the old school method, just handshake and move on.
Yeah,
Not even a handshake, a text shake
yeah, just a
nowadays.
text. Yeah, just a text, and so yeah, let's do it. And it took some time to get started, but yeah, it's been a heck of a ride. Ups and downs of entrepreneurship and running the business. Definitely have learned a lot and still learning, especially right now at our current stage. It's a lot of people managing and also knowing, doing better at knowing our numbers, especially you being a CPA and understand like finances, how important it is to the operational health of a law firm.
I like that you bring up the entrepreneurship here. So it's as you noticed, I think you we discussed it before we kind of started recording this. I wrote a book. That's not what we're going to talk about, but I always preach entrepreneurship because when we open up our own practices, no matter what business you're in, if you're a lawyer, you're CPA, whatever professional you're in, there's a reason why we open up a business. Like it's not to have an 8 to 5 job and get a salary and go home. Most of us don't do that. We do that to build something, and that's in my opinion entrepreneurship. But the reason I really wanted to talk to you today is your journey of how you're accomplishing that and how you're kind of running your firm as a business rather than a practice. So I want to dig in a little bit into those kind of couple of questions that we have another, I don't know, 35, 45, whatever
Sure,
time we have to discuss.
sounds good.
And give me a little bit. So you mentioned your first year you started was $150,000 revenue. You're just wrapped up your third year and you are exceeding $2 million revenue, which is exceptional growth, in my opinion, in the practice area you are specifically in. And what was the goal? What was the intention when you first texted your partner? And was that to run a practice, or was the business in mind from day one?
I think the business was in mind, and there's a quick funny backstory to it is that I actually, kind of going back to entrepreneurship a little bit, I actually never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I never wanted to be a business owner. I actually wanted to just clock in and clock out and don't have to worry about, the payroll, marketing, getting business. That was actually the life I wanted. But I got into this life was because basically it boils down to I wanted to have a career in the US. And in order for me to stay, E2 visa was the only option. And E2 visa is for entrepreneurs who wants to start up their business in the US. And that was the only option for me. So in the beginning, when you asked like what was the goal? The goal was just to be able to stay in the US with a different visa. And that was the only goal. Like be able to stay in the US, make a living, and just that was it. And maybe some growth, because with the part of the E2 visa, you're supposed to show growth and that the business is not just going to be marginal. So actually within the initial E2 visa plan I did for my law firm, I put the 5-year business plan that we were going to have at the end of 5 years, 12 staff members at the end of 5 years. And, by year 3, we already kind of double our initial projections. And also with 12 staff members, our initial 5-year goal was to be able to make 1.5 million in that first 5 years. So I'm, really fortunate and blessed to have great people believe in us and trusting the team and, the clients that really trusted us to service them.
Well, partially I agree that you're fortunate. I think we all are fortunate. We wake up in the morning, we're healthy, we can move, we're fortunate. But what you're building is not done coincidentally. I'm pretty sure there are steps you've taken to kind of get where you are. So let's talk a little bit about systems and processes. I always talk about systems and processes because I think that's the key to any business to be able to scale. You might be able to keep it small without systems and processes. You have everything in your head, but in order to have 20 employees that you have, you can't have everything in your head. You got to have systems and processes. So what steps have you guys taken to kind of build those systems and processes for the firm?
And so really, for me personally, was learning how to delegate. That was the first step, was learning to trust others. And no, you're not going to be able to find someone who cares as much as you and who can do work like you do. So my philosophy with delegation is 80% is good enough. If they can replicate 80% of what I do, they can make up the gap later. With over time, they can make it to 100%. So as long as I can do 80% first, that's kind of the key for me on being able to grow, was really trusting others and delegating these tasks. And in terms of systems and process, what I've been taught was look at things that we do repeatedly. What are some of the things that we do repeatedly, and build as SOP and systems on that, and having a workflow that people can follow, and that's gonna enable us to scale. And one of the early failures was that I refused to niche down. Pretty much in the beginning, we were, as long as business came through the door, whatever law it was, as long as we felt we're competent to do it, we were doing it. And we call that door law. That whatever comes through the door, we were doing it, which was not good. It was good that we kept us surviving and alive, but it was bad that we weren't able to have a system in place, because every time we do things, new things we had to do, we had to learn how to do this, and we weren't getting a lot of the same cases. So we weren't able to replicate and do a repeatable process. But now that we focus on these particular niches, each division has its own leader, and that leader is in charge of organizing the workflows, the systems, and people management in each of their divisions.
You see, you're just nailing on each point I want to discuss here. Niching down, I think that's super important in being a professional, like lawyers, accountants. Similar to your practice when I first started, but it took me much longer to really niche down 100%. We were doing all kind of industries, but you pretty quickly realize that you can't do that for too long, because you're not benefiting anybody. You're creating issues for your team members because they do so many different things in different ways. The clients are not getting the value from you, and you're just trying to scramble. So I like that you're niching down. Similar to us, we only work with lawyers, for example. We don't do any other industries, even though we used to do it in the past. I love it. Do you see, from the time you started niching down, do you see the team members change, the operation change? What feedback do you have from that?
Uh, Definitely, that's less chaos, but we're still trying to get better at it. We're in year three, and occasionally, I think as you scale, the systems are meant to be, they're meant to hold up, but they're also meant to be broken. I say like the system will keep breaking, and we'll have to keep implementing to make sure the system doesn't break and keep maintaining it. And so I think with the systems we've implemented is that, you know, you can see from the team members it's less stress for them. Like they know it's a repeatable process. Okay, we just do step one, step two, step three, and clear the headspace for having to think about doing A to Z. All they need to focus on is doing A, B, C. And kind of like similar to like a production line where one person just focuses on listening and then move the next task to the next person. And ultimately the attorneys are the one that, talks to the clients and show up to court. But there are a lot of tasks that, support staff are able to do on the front end, like talking to the clients to send out the questionnaire, making sure the questionnaires are filled out and guiding them to kind of collect the information we need for our support staff to do the work, and then for attorneys to review that work and going to court to represent them. So we're still trying to make that system better. So every time as we grow, we're trying to figure out like how can we make things more efficient and reduce the, I guess, reduce the tension for our intercommunications.
I agree with you. The systems, we build those systems, but it's not meant to be perfect from day one. You build them, you keep improving them. As long as it goes in the right direction, even though if it's just an inch a day, it goes in the right direction. That's the main thing. As long as you work on the system. There's a lot of firms that we work with is that don't even think about those systems. They all they think about is the legal services, which is fine. But once you get to a point, without the systems, your knowledge will not be able to kind of compensate for it, because yes, you have great legal services, but that's you. But if your team cannot provide the same service you're providing with the right systems, right controls in place, I think that's where a lot of firms are crashing or getting stuck.
Yeah, right now, even with our onboarding, we've hired three VAs recently, and even with that, we're trying to put systems for onboarding. Like, how do we train them and teaching them how to use our software, teaching them where to go to find templates, and teaching them to go through a model case file to see what's supposed to be done, what are the right steps and the stages. And so even then, even this kind of cycle, we're systematizing, and I'm asking the team to make an SOP for training and documenting it so that in the future it's a repeatable. Like as we onboard someone, we just have them watch the SOP, read the documents, and just watch the recording, and it's so make it that us as business owners, we're not beholden to one person holding all the knowledge, and then if they leave, then you have to start all over again. So that's something that I'm really focused on this year, is having the system so that um, you know it's kind of like plug and play. People
Yeah.
come in, people come and go. I can't control it, but what I can control is having the system in place and making the work environment as best as possible so that we don't have to have turnover.
I like that. It's I'm sure you read it or you're familiar with it. Michael Gerber's The E-Myth. You read it? It's the same similar kind of idea. He comparing it the restaurant industry, McDonald's, to basically what we are doing. You want ordinary people to do extraordinary things. You don't want extraordinary people to do just ordinary things. So, and that's done by what you're doing right now with the right systems in place. You can just plug and play. You bring in anyone from outside, you put it in that seat, they have to do it. I love it. I love what you're doing, Jimmy. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think I appreciate that kind comment. I'm still sometimes I suffer from imposter syndrome because I'm I am too transparent on LinkedIn. I overshare and I share my vulnerabilities, and I see a lot of law firm owners, they're doing much better than me, like doing 5 million, 8 figures, some 9 figures, and I suffer from imposter syndrome. But I remind myself I'm only in year 3, and it's a marathon. Business is a marathon, and so take it one day at a time. And like you said, like just think of what can be improved daily instead of like a perfect system right away. And just as long as we're working, trending towards the right direction, we'll be fine.
Not only business is a marathon, life is a marathon,
Yeah.
Jimmy. Really, it doesn't matter what you're doing in a year or two. We're gonna be here hopefully for 80, 90, or 100 years. It the process is important, and in my opinion, that you enjoy the process also. Like if you don't enjoy it, sooner or later this will collapse. Uh, but I think you're doing great. I don't think you should feel like you're behind, because a lot of things that people put out on social media are not always the correct thing they put out. Also, yeah, it makes us other people feel bad about our own firms. But I've seen it. I work with lawyers day in day out. I see their numbers day in day out. I know exactly what it is. And for 3 year practice for an immigration, you're definitely on the right track.
Appreciate that. Yeah, and I really resonate with what you just said about enjoying the work you do. There are certainly days as an entrepreneur you question yourself, like, why are you doing this? And you know, worry about payroll, worry about the pipeline drying up and stuff like that. And so it's really truly, I would say I've really enjoyed this process of running my own law firm and kind of building a firm of my dream, basically, like the way I wanted to do it. So it's really that passion and the drive that's keeping me going. Otherwise, I think all those challenges along the way would have made me want to quit this job or this career.
I agree. I agree. Sometimes we wake up and you say, what the hell am I doing, man? Why am I doing this? All this headache. You have 20 people responsible for. But I think majority of the days, as you said, we wake up with a smile on our face and just excited to get to the office. Exciting. So jumping into the next topic a little bit about, you're constantly working on systems so that you can basically plug and play, which I think it's an excellent way of doing it. But you need the right team, obviously. Now you can't do it with all of this yourself. If that would be the case, you would not even need the systems. So what's your strategy of kind of hiring people? Is your firm all remote, or you're in the office, or what strategy are you using?
So right now, I would say about 75% is in person in the office, 25% are remote, like in other countries doing the support task work. For hiring, um, I kind of delegated that to our chief operating officer to do the hiring. And usually our hiring is a 3-step process where the first step is him vetting the applicant and making sure that they would potentially fit our company culture. And then second step would be with the department leaders to like whichever department they'll be going to. It'll be a panel interview. And then if they give the thumbs up, then we'll send them a DISC personality assessment for them to do. And we tell them that there's no right or wrong answer. We just want to know more about you. What's your personality like? How do you communicate with others? How are you going to be able to work with others? And then they get to the third interview with me, and that's when we will make the decision whether to extend an invitation to hire or not. Uh, Before that, my hiring was just set a meeting. I meet with you, and I was, oh, you seem like a good person. I like you. All right, you're hired. That was my strategy in the beginning. So definitely now we have a more system process approach to hiring. In an ideal world, still trying to get better at this. I would love to, offer a really great salary or, compensation to hire the A players. But right now financially, we're not there yet. So the way we've been incentivizing is a somewhat competitive market-wise base salary. I'm speaking about attorneys, plus a performance-based incentives for every time they bill an hour, they can get a percentage of what they bill. And so that's like, a mixture of some base stability salary for them, plus an eat what you kill mentality, and also a higher percentage for origination. If you're able to get clients for us without us spending the money on the marketing, you can earn more as well. So it's a combination of those factors is how we're approaching. And so we've been fortunate to be able to find the type of staff members that are in a similar mentality. Like they're not they're okay with the base salary, but they want more. And for me, it also manages my risk that I'm not paying a really high salary for someone who doesn't want to work. So it's just like, okay, I'm paying a okay salary, and these are incentives. Like if you want to work more, you'll make more. If you want to work less, then this is the base salary that you're gonna just be making.
I like that model. You incentivize them. You kind of plant the seed of entrepreneurship in their head also, because the better they do, the better it's for the firm, the better they will make. So I like that idea, and
Yeah,
not a lot
but
of firm are doing that actually,
that
because
idea also backfired on me because I do have a couple attorneys who came on associates and decided to start their own law firm. So that's so sometimes could backfire, but my mentality is I'm trying to get to the point where it's okay. I want everyone to grow, and if they decide that their time with the firm is no longer feasible, then I will have to live with that and be okay with that. But my main goal is just everyone grow together, and yeah. So sorry to interrupt that point.
I mean, yeah, no, not at all. I mean, you will always have people that come that are more hungry than others or more entrepreneurial than others, and eventually will kind of take off and do it themselves. But I mean, that's part of business. There's nothing we can do. There's no way for us to know that in advance. Uh, but we just got to be happy during the time they were with you. Did they help you grow the firm? If that
Yeah.
answer is yes, then good luck to them, and hopefully they do even better somewhere else. I agree.
Yeah.
Interesting. How about your offshore people? So those are more support staff that you use offshore?
Yeah, offshore support staff will help with intake for overflows when we have phone calls that are on-site intake specialists. If they're not able to get to them, it goes to the overflow for off-site. And what they do is gather the information, listen to client calls, and try to move them towards the next stage of the pipeline, like booking a free case evaluation with a sales team or a paid consultation with an attorney. Those are the main goals for the intake team. It's either they book a free case evaluation, which the intake team will do themselves to sell the firm, or they book a paid meeting with an attorney. And so that's kind of what the offshore people do. We also have offshore that helps with the legal assistant type administrative work to help attorneys manage the cases, the client files, and to even help with billing. I have one executive assistant that helps with our client billing to just do it every we do billing every 2 weeks to coincide with payroll, and we're like okay, and so this executive assistant he helps with seeing what's left in the retainer and then notifying the attorney and notifying the client to replenish the retainer. So those are kind of the support role tasks that we have for the offsite. And I'm right now contemplating adding more to the intake department. The people from Philippines, their English is sufficient. They're good, and um, maybe we'll have more of them on the intake team to make sure that we don't miss any phone calls.
Interesting. So if Philippines is the main offshore country you use for now?
Yeah, right now, yes. And we do
Mm.
have one in South America that helps with the immigration side for Spanish speakers.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. I mean, this is fantastic information for our listeners, and hopefully they can get one or two things from it and utilize it and help their firm grows.
Yeah,
Uh,
VAs are incredible in the Philippines. Just for an example, I recently hired a Philippine VA who is an attorney in Philippines,
wow.
and he was willing to work for $7 an hour. And for them, I even asked like, what is a typical salary for an attorney, like maybe 1 to 3 year experience attorney in Philippines, and he told me it was roughly about 900 to $1,000 US dollars per month. That's roughly what they make. as an attorney, and their bar
So,
passage rate is
so
only
what is that?
30%.
So $1,000 divided by roughly 160 hours, let's say. So that's like about
Yeah. So
six,
that's what
six, six.
they make, and their passage rate is only 30%. Only 30% become attorney, whereas in the US, the par passage rate is 60 to 80%.
Wow.
So like they must be smart because it's really hard to become an attorney in Asian countries. Um, so yeah, that's I'm kind of tapping into there's lots of talent out there, and in terms of looking at it number wise, let's say I am able to hire three VAs that one of them was willing to do it for $5. So if three of them on average cost me $15 an hour, I get three people's productivity, 40 hours. So that's 120 hours a week for the same price as one US legal assistant. And right now, the US legal assistant in Oklahoma market, I'm paying anywhere between $15 to $20 an hour for one US worker.
So
But
that's
if you
end
have
up even
three,
more. So if you do
yeah, yeah,
$7 an hour, that's about, yeah, about three
yeah.
times the
So
US
yeah, you
cost.
get three times the productivity for the same price. Plus, don't have to worry about payroll tax. Don't have to worry about their health benefits. Don't have to worry about if you fire them and they claim unemployment
Lawsuits.
insurance. Like, don't have to worry about all that. The only downside is they're not here physically, so they can't do the mail, they can't do the scanning. But that's something that we can hire just one person to handle the scanning, the mailing, and the physical files, get it digital, and then the digital staff can handle the rest.
I love the mindset, Jimmy. That's really entrepreneurial, and I love it the way you kind of break it down and look at it. Amazing, amazing. I love it. So from your accounting and financial perspective, not really accounting, that's tedious, but from financial and reporting perspective, how often are you kind of reviewing your financials? How often are you sitting down with your partner on your COO and looking at the numbers? What's your process there?
That's something that I definitely lack in this regard. Having I talked about delegating, but there's a lot of things that I haven't delegated as well. So this is more of maybe like a quarterly meeting. Every quarter we'll meet with the management group and talk about how the firm is doing. But obviously, there are some times where we get busy and we haven't met. So, but that's the goal is we usually try to meet every quarter at least to go over the bigger picture of things. And one thing that we haven't touched on, I think, is profitability of a law firm. So despite me mentioning, we did 7 figures and all that, one thing that I've struggled with is profitability aspect, which our margins are really low right now. And that's what I'm working on. It's like maybe implementing systems and efficiency will improve that margin for us. Um, and I'm curious to know too, I want to ask you, what is typically a good ratio that you see for law firms for the revenue to employee ratio? Because right now we do have 20, but if you look at it, like if our revenue is at 2 million and 20 team members total, that's only 100K, per employee, and that's not a really great ratio. But we do have 5 of them are offsite, so they cost less. So I'm really curious to know like what is an ideal ratio that you typically see or advise people.
Yeah, I mean, the rule of thumb is one third. Rule of thumb in the professional service industry is one third for wages. So for every $1 million, 330 some $1,000 goes to wages. So in your case, about 660, 670. But that's just the rule of thumb. The way I look at it for entrepreneurial firms, keep in mind, this is not for a firm where the owner is really the lawyer itself. Entrepreneur firm like yourself, I am okay going up to all the way to 40% in wages, because what's happening now, you're not there yet because you only be doing it for 3 years, but the goal is for you to slowly be the owner, be the CEO, just to run the operation and not really be the professional, not really be the lawyer. I think that's based on what I'm hearing, that's what you're going towards.
Yeah,
I might be
yes.
wrong.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And I think after a certain point, that's the only way you can scale it. Like you might be able to do the work yourself up to 4 million, 5 million maybe. But after that, you get stuck. Yeah, I mean, it's not much more you can provide. You got to put all your efforts into managing it and running the firm. And with 40% in labor cost and another, let's say 30 or so, 35% at the top in admin cost. By the way, your wages would be part of the admin cost also with that 35%. After all, you probably have 25 to 30% in profit margin as running the firm, not providing legal services. If you can do that, if you can generate 20, even 25% without doing any legal work after your salary, you got to take a reasonable salary from your company because you're running a firm. I think that's fair amount. I think that's very, very reasonable because no other business, or not no other business, but not many other businesses would give you 25% return on your investment, I will say.
That's really helpful to know. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so these are the things we do with our clients all the time. We go over it since we do the accounting for them. So we really are strategic partners with our clients rather than just an accountant or a bookkeeper or a tax preparer. We want to work with them throughout the year. So we do their accounting on every month. Every month we issue financial statements, so they have data every month. We we meet with them on a quarterly basis with their management team to review the financial statements. We dig into the details to see where they're spending money, where are they overspending, where could they spend more money, going through these ratios, for example, that you asked about, so that they're more aware of their numbers and make decisions based on facts rather than just assumptions.
Yeah, that's I like what you said based on facts. And early days, I would definitely say, and even now sometimes I make this error. I make decisions based on assumptions. And definitely like one of the key things that helped us with growing our firm was knowing our numbers. Like understanding what's the cost per lead, what's the cost per acquisition, and what's the cost of labor. Like all these, like knowing our numbers really helped us scale. So that I can understand, okay, if a lead cost is this, then it's just basically the equation of increasing our ad budget to get more leads and to get more conversion. So like really knowing our numbers have allowed us to grow, and I still need to work on aspects of knowing our numbers better for sure.
It's after all, it's a numbers game. As you said, what is your cost per acquisition? If it's going to cost you $500 to get a client that's going to generate 5,000 or 10,000 or whatever that is, it's no brainer. You do that every day on as much money as you can. You push it into the business. But if you think that it's going to cost you 5,000 to generate a lead that's going to generate 10,000 in revenue, well, probably not, because we have out of that 10,000, maybe 4,000 goes to labor. What's the profit left? Not much profit left. So as much as data you have, the more you can run your operation as a business rather than a practice. And that's what we try to kind of provide our clients regularly.
Well, it sounds like I'll need to book a separate time offline to talk to your company and see
I
if
would love to. I would love
there's
to,
a fit
yeah.
there for us to start getting better. Like 2026, this year focus is to improve our profitability. That's the focus there this year.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, let's schedule something and discuss more. But before we wrap up here, so you've gone from 0 to 2 million and plus in less than 3 years. What is the goal, and how are you planning to kind of implement it to get to an 8-figure practice?
So I don't know, for some reason, you know, funny thing is when I first started the E2 visa journey for myself, I said I'll be happy if we make $1 million in 5 years. But then once we achieve it, I guess I just kept moving the goalpost. And for some reason, when I joined one of those coaching programs and they said to do a 3 year vivid vision, and that really helped me. Was at that time I said in 3 years I want the firm to be at $10 million. I don't know why I came up with that number, but I was like, that sounds good. I want to do it. And so we're on pace in a way. So to last year, this year we need to be at the 3 to 5 range, and then by the end of next year, we'll need to figure out how to get to 10. So when you ask me like what's the plan, I guess is first will be the early part of this year, this quarter, we need to get to know our numbers better. And it's a numbers game. If I can understand where to allocate more resources, whether that's like scaling our ads, adding more to the ads, or having on the fulfillment side enough people to service the clients coming in. I think it's like a balancing act. Sometimes, we might scale too fast but we don't have enough people, or we have too much people and not enough cases. So we're trying to balance that. But yeah, aggressively this year, our goal is to minimally is try to get to 3 million this year. But my stretch goal is to get to 5, so that we can double next year to 10 million. Maybe too ambitious, but that's the goal. And I think understanding the numbers as well will allow us to, and sorry, backtracking a little bit, systems and numbers, having a repeatable process that might allow us to branch out further, to open up office in a different city in the state, or I'm currently licensed in 4 other states. And so maybe there are opportunities where we can recruit an associate in a different state, and our law firm can be the parent company having a branch in, let's say, Dallas or in Seattle. So that's kind of where my head is at, to see how we can grow. But I think first we need to have a more solid foundation before I be too ambitious and try to expand too fast.
Amazing, amazing. I like the vision. I like the way you're moving. I like the thought process. I think you're doing all the right stuff, Jimmy. You just gotta keep on pushing, keep on implementing, and
Thank you.
I'm very positive you'll get there. Last question here. Which you mentioned you joined a coaching program. Which coaching program is it, if you don't mind sharing?
On the law firm one was the SMB team.
SMB,
The
yeah.
SMB team, and throughout the time too, I've joined. There's a program called 2 Hour Lifestyle Lawyer to learn how to run your own virtual estate planning practice. Andrew Zimmer with the Vertex League, that's the one. Also, I'm in there. Uh, there's a one called Law Firm Catalyst with Charlie Mann. I'm in too many.
You're
And
done.
that's something that I think in 2025 I was going too much on the personal development, trying to learn branding, trying to learn how to do LinkedIn more, trying to learn how to grow a law firm. And then this year I need to scale that down a bit and just start implementing what I've learned. But those are some of the things that the programs that I was part of and learned from. But I would say like the most value I got is actually the mastermind of other law firm owners in different states. And what I like about it is that we're not direct competitors sometimes. Unless you're in immigration, maybe you're direct competitors. But if I do family law in Oklahoma and meet a law firm owner who does family law in Texas, we're not directly competing for the same clients. So we're more willing to share, hey, this is our current process for our attorneys. This is our operation process. This is how we do intake. And so we're more willing to share what's working. So I think that's where I get the most value from those coaching masterminds, being able to talk to other law firm owners. And the coaching definitely does help, but the most value I got was from the group of attorneys and law firm
Journey.
owners. Yeah.
Amazing, Jimmy. This has been very valuable. I love what I'm hearing here, and I wish you all the best. I hope, and I'm very confident you will get to 10 million, probably sooner you think so.
Well, we'll see. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.